Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, June 27th, 2023 at 7 p.m., and I'd like to call the board meeting for July 4th to order at 7 p.m. Let's see, I have a short invocation. Lord, please watch over and reawaken this nation to your power and glory. Roll call, please.
Trustees Keller,
Here.
McGurran,
Here.
Merrill, absent, Nelson,
Here.
Pike,
Here.
President Wecken,
Here.
Trustee Zeiss.
Here.
Thank you. Okay. Item 2 is review and approve minutes from the regular board meeting of June 6, 2023.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mary. Any discussions, corrections, amendments to the minutes as presented? Hearing none. All in favor of the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 3 is comments from the floor. This is the opportunity for the Village of North Hudson residents, property owners, or business owners to make the board aware of topics or issues, opportunities either on or not on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on public comments? Dan?
Hello, board members. My name is Dan Schmidt. I live at 756 Summit Lane North here in the village. I did want to comment on a couple of things, I guess observations and maybe questions. I also wanted to, and I'm sure you're going to officially as a board, but just as a citizen, as somebody who worked with Melissa and learned a lot from her working on the elections and things, I sent her an email, but I just want to publicly state how much I appreciate her hard work, good work, and I learned a lot from her, and I value that. So thank you again. I guess I hope you take these positive. I know a couple times I've spoken, probably haven't come across as maybe as friendly as I'd like to be, but I do intend this, as positive. But I also want to kind of challenge you a little bit that I think as the board, you really need to put yourselves in a position to realize that you're really the long-term view, the long-term plan and things for the village citizens. And it's likely because we're all here in a small community and you know each other so well and you want to support the staff and things that you work closely with them. But I just want the board to think about the long term and not get too bogged down in the day-to-day and, what it takes to operate things. And these are some observations I've had from coming to some different meetings. So first, and again, I put these notes down. I didn't go back and look at minutes and different things. But from various board committee meetings I went to, I didn't go to the meeting last month, but I noticed in there was a discussion about equipment and, the budget and an unknown in terms of, how much money is there from developer funds that is supposed to be dedicated to parks. And I don't expect anybody to carry that information around, in their head all the time. But I think from the standpoint of a committee operating, you need to have that information available so people can make plans and think about long term. And I know when I was going to some meetings, and it's probably been close to 2 years ago now, there was discussion then, there were some bids on equipment and everything else that work was done and things by the committee, and then it, had to be dropped because, we don't even have a budget set up for that this year. So it's kind of one of those things that I think from managing it for long term, that you got to plan for those things. So I think that's really important. I'm concerned that I see Public Works isn't even meeting. I understand you don't have a Public Works director right now, but you have a committee that, I think all the committee members should have knowledge of what's happening. They should be taking an interest in it. Today you're going to act on something that is probably you would consider just normal course of business. You got bids and things like that, but if the committee members are sharing that information and discussing it and things and having what I've heard discussed here as like, hey, we can't do this, we can't have walking quorums, then you know that. So that shouldn't be going on. If it's not happening and you're not talking about it at all, that concerns me. Because it's not a one-person committee. It should be everybody. So that's really a concern I have. Something that was brought up and discussed at many, many meetings over the last couple years by the Public Works Director was his concern for the catch basins and the sealing of that, and how the total cost of doing it, I believe a number was thrown around once of $200,000 if it all got done at once. And I don't hear about a plan for it getting done. I don't know if it's gonna get done or any of it's gonna get done. But again, it was something that was brought up. There's a history of it, and that's part of planning. So I would like to see these kind of things be on an agenda. So there's old business, it gets addressed, and you keep it in front of you. There was also a major discussion within the last 6 months about purchasing sewer metering equipment. And, I don't know where that's at. Again, there hasn't been meetings. I'd like to see the Finance Committee meetings broadcast. I'd like more discussion where you guys bring things in and discuss options. I just, it strikes me as hard to believe, to be honest with you, that, the operating of the finances of the village happens with the average meeting being like 5 minutes a month. So obviously, there's a lot of things that happen. Obviously, you have a very competent administrator that's taking care of things, but, again, if it's happening outside the meeting arrangements, that's just not acceptable. I think the village, as an investment in the community, could look at how could we do more communication with the community. The website, is there, but it could be improved. I mean, that's a technology, that's something that the wave in terms of changes and options and different things, it can't be static. It really needs to be improved and continually looked at as how can we make this tool better? Because, let's face it, we don't get a lot of information from any other local sources. I know there's a radio station that broadcasts the agendas of meetings. I bet you, 5% of the people in the village listen to it, I'd be surprised. Our paper, because they can't sell ads, because, people use digital, whatever. My point is that I think the village website and using listserv and using emails and all those things is really important for the village to look at as a long-term investment in the community. What I want to see is I want to see all those chairs filled up every meeting. I want to see people coming here because they really care about what's going on and they want to tell you what's going on, not to come in and gripe, not to come in and complain, not to come in and, be ridiculous and whatever. But I just want to see people have an interest. And so I think it's a two-way street. And that's the message that I really, really want to give is, think about how you can enhance those things and where those things can be, improved. Because I know every one of you put in a lot of time being on the village board, and I don't think you're making minimum wage. So I appreciate the heck out of you doing it. And I'm here because I want to support you. And that's why I want to know what's going on. That's why I come, not to be, a negative Nelly. So thank you again, and thanks for letting me talk.
Thanks, Dan.
Hi, I'm Sandra Ludke. Just happen to have the same last name as Melissa. I think it's because of my son, right? Anyway, I just want to say thank you very much for all you've done for us, especially the elections. I've been a chief inspector working with her and for the community in elections, and have really learned so much and how important it is to keep it right and working well. And She has done a fabulous job. I don't see how you're going to replace her. It's going to be really tough. And I think all the people who've worked with me and her feel the same way. So good luck to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. And I don't see anyone else here, so we'll move on to agenda item 4. Amended Class Parent B/Parent Class B liquor license for extended premise Village Inn for the July 22nd, 2023 approval requested.
Stan move to approve the extended premises amendment to the Class B retail license for the sale of fermented malt beverages and intoxicating liquors for an event to take place on Saturday, July 22nd, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Is that the right date? He said 23, I'm saying 22.
Saturday's the 22nd.
Yep, Saturday,
Okay.
22nd.
With these conditions. Number 1, area outside a building to be completely enclosed with secure fencing to be accessed only from near the main entrance area of the building. Use of alcohol shall remain within building or fenced-in area. Number 2, use of outside area only with specific permission of village board for particular date and event. Number 3, owner to provide equal amount of adjacent substitute off-street parking while parking lot area is fenced during time of event. Maintain the no parking alley between the Village Inn and Zappa Brothers for emergency vehicle and village public works traffic during the event. Number 4, owner to be responsible for band/music volume and outside music to end no later than 10 p.m.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kirk. Discussion.
Has this been done before up there?
It's had events, but
I don't remember an outside.
Yes,
thing.
yeah, they've done a number of outdoor events and very similar footprint for the current one that they're proposing.
Okay.
I believe that hasn't Lee sent the same map in every time?
We did a new one.
This year was a new one.
This is upgraded.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's what I kind of thought is, I know I'd seen a map year after year for a while and stuff like that, but,
And this is a customer appreciation day is what he's calling it, basically?
If that's what it said, I don't recall what the reason was.
I don't know if it says that. does it?
It says it on the map. At the bottom.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay.
any other questions for the chief?
No.
Thank- No, it's, any other discussion? I mean, Dusty, Mary?
I'll just note for the record that it's recommended for approval by the chief.
Thank you. Anything else? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the amended extended premises for the Village Inn, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 5, appointment of deputy clerk to interim clerk. Discussion and approval requested.
So I didn't do an issue statement for this, but it's really a procedural manner. As a deputy clerk, Susanna's the current deputy clerk, and as that, she can act as a clerk, but it's just to make sure, kind of a procedural thing. I was recommended to appoint her as officially as the interim clerk until a new one is hired, just to complete some of the tasks that the clerk needs to do.
Thank you.
Are they both deputy clerks in the office?
She's a deputy clerk and deputy treasurer. Nathan's the treasurer.
Okay, I thought we moved.
Well, you don't need two deputy clerks, but Nathan acts as a deputy clerk during elections.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Move to approve?
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Dusty. Any discussion? Should probably ask Suzanne if she's okay with this.
Thank you. Yes.
But, no, that's, I appreciate it that she's gonna be doing
She'll keep
that.
her same hours and everything,
Yeah,
so it's
no,
not like she's
that's-
expected to all of a sudden come in full-time,
Yeah,
so.
and
hopefully
thank goodness there's not an election coming up this
Right.
year. That's huge. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the appointment of deputy clerk to interim clerk, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, item 6, a discussion on staff trustee interaction and role of trustees, discussion only. I believe this is Paul has the ball.
Sure, I will take this, and Melissa sort of asked me to speak a little bit about it. The first thing I would say is I would recommend that if you all get copies of the League of Municipalities magazine, it was a good article, there's a series of articles in there in the latest edition that sort of talk about that, and it's a great refresher for everybody to read that, I think. And the other thing, when she talked to me as a municipal attorney, what's the first thing you do? You go to the statute books, because there's statutes on everything in Wisconsin. So you look in there, and there's a whole list of things that the clerk does. There's a whole list of things that the treasurer does. There's a list of what the village president does, including you are in charge of the jail. And you have the ability to appoint special marshals in case of riot or discontent.
Sweet. Well, that's in lieu of the chief being really busy.
But when you get to trustees, it is totally silent. So there's no direction in the statute but that. But, really you have to look at the role of the board and how, it's like a business. And the board is like the board of directors of a business. You guys set policy. You're not down at the day-to-day level. You're up here and I think Dan mentioned this, you're up here setting policy for the staff to implement by giving them guidance and passing ordinances and passing resolutions. But the board and the trustees should, in my opinion, let the administrator and the staff handle that day-to-day activity. Because what you don't want to have happen, and it's harder in a small community where everybody knows everybody and there's relationships, but you don't want employees going to trustees looking for direction on this or asking a question here. You get one answer, then someone else gives them another answer, and then the whole thing just doesn't work. I would also have people look at in your ordinances as to what the administrator is supposed to do. And the administrator handles all the day-to-day operations of the village and is the supervisor for the department heads, unless there's an exception in the ordinance. So that's where the chain of command sort of flows down. And you have to be careful, and again, it's small and it's hard, when you have friendships and things that may get in the way of essentially boss-employee relationships. So I just caution everybody to you hire good staff, you let them do their job, let them handle their roles, and the board guides them, but not to get involved in the day-to-day minutia of how things run. You have a great system here, I think. You're very efficient. You have your committees set up, and they report back, and your meetings are run well. That's another role of the village president, to have the meetings, and he does a great job. But I just, I'm a little concerned there's going to be a lot of changes here shortly. New administrator, new public works director, and I want the board to understand where they should be and where they shouldn't be, and not to, let the new administrator administrate. Let them follow your direction. But, an individual trustee is not the boss. The board is the boss. An individual trustee doesn't have any power by themselves. The board has the power. So I just caution people to let your staff work. And if they have questions, they can come to those committees or they come to the administrator, and that's, brought up to the board. But not get involved in day-to-day matters and not let friendships get in the way of the policies of the village, because that's where problems happen. And I've seen it in other spots too. So that's my 2 cents. If anybody's got any comments, I'd appreciate them.
Question. What's the process when a citizen would email a chair of a, like, public safety, asking for certain, things to be done throughout the village?
Well, I think, if a citizen has a comment and it goes to a trustee, you can direct them to the administrator, or you can put that item on the agenda for that committee.
True, okay.
And have them, deal with that. As opposed to, me as trustee goes and talks to the new public works director and tells him, you need to do this tomorrow.
I agree. I'm just taking the first comment, and that's the process we've been trying to follow on our end, but just the fact is, we do get that. We do get the
Oh,
kind
yeah, you will, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and bring it up and go through the process, because again, one trustee shouldn't be making the decision.
Yep.
If there's an emergency situation, sure, you gotta do something. But if it's, if it's a policy or something that you change, whether you need to change how things are done, or you need to change an ordinance or whatever, or there's a complaint that work isn't getting done, bring that up to your committee, because you have really good committees set up to handle pretty much everything in the village here. And then make sure the new administrator knows what's going on, because the last thing you want to do is, that person going down the street and say, get blindsided by something they have no knowledge of.
Have you seen the trustee handbook?
For it here?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
It was handed out to me, probably Kirk, and it basically outlines everything you just said. And it was handed to me. It's not been updated since Gloria left. But we do have it. Do you have it too? Yeah, the three of us have it. Did you two get it?
We went through, I went through training with the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, and they have a lot of, it's bigger than handbook.
Yeah, the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, every new trustee gets a book from the league for a handbook for new Wisconsin elected
And
officials.
they have great
They all
programs.
get it.
It was excellent.
And I encourage you to do that. I go to their conferences, and they do a great job. And on Thursday, I'm going to be in a roundtable with the league for input. And I'm glad what I'm saying is consistent with the trustees' handbook, so that's
Pretty
good.
much said it all.
Well, and I just had an email today that the league is having they have a new trustees 101. It's
Yep.
for new trustees or a refresher for people that have been on the board for a long time. I know that there's an in-person session that's going to be down in Altoona. I don't know, in a couple of weeks in July. I think the 15th. I'm thinking, but possibly, but yeah, you should have seen it, and look on the League of Municipalities to see that. And they also have online, refreshers and stuff like that, seminars you can do that way too. So that,
And I
but
didn't
that's
mean
good counsel.
to interrupt, but even those, it says 101, well, I've been here a while, I should know what's going on. But just to go and hear somebody else talk and reaffirm what you're doing is what everybody else is doing and what's the correct way, I think is important, because when I go to CLEs and, there's a lot of people that are smarter than me giving them, and I reckon, yeah, that's what we're doing. So it just reaffirms that. I'd encourage everybody to do that.
yeah, the League has been very good. And usually they have pretty good food.
I have a couple questions, Paul, since this is an opportunity to really dive in and better understand the role. So you had mentioned the board's role in policy, which is very clear and understandable, and the administrator operates the policy and oversees how it's carried out. And is it also correct that the role of the board is looking at long-term planning, strategic planning, comprehensive planning for the community?
Sure, I think you have to do some of that. You have to, with budgets the way they are and with the needs coming, you just, instead of being total reactionary, try to be a little proactive, looking 5 years down the road or whatever.
Well, the Plan Commission has run for the comprehensive plan.
Yep.
I mean, that's, when the last time it was going to be reviewed, there was nothing to review at that time, so that, and it's coming up for review again. So, and that's part of, that starts at Plan Commission and then comes up to the board.
Yep, and that's a good process. I'm going through that with some other municipalities right now. You go through chapter by chapter and update those with the goals and the objectives of the village. And those are real high-level things. And it's always good to look at that every so many years because things change, populations change, your needs change.
And then I have another question. We've been really excellently administered by Melissa ever since I've lived here. And it is really quite, I'm thinking about what's going to happen next, and it's a little concerning. And I'm wondering, what is the chain of command when there isn't an administrator? Because I've read the ordinances and I can't figure it out from there. Perhaps it's in the statute. Or is there a vacuum or is there a chain of command?
Well, there's going to be a vacuum.
That's bad.
And a lot of that's going to fall on the clerk.
Don't scare her.
And Melissa, role is dual. Not only is she administrator, but she's the clerk as well. So there's a lot of activities there.
So the board does have options, though, to appoint interims and to look at other options to fill that vacuum during the time. So there isn't anything naturally in.
No, and I've had two of my communities, their administrators left, and they've hired interims to not only help hiring the new one, but have someone fill that administrator role, not so much the clerk role, but the administrator role. So, and that's an option. There's people that do that.
And then another thing that's not been clear to me from our ordinances, or from even the training that I had was, because every municipality has its own arrangements or its own unique ordinances. What's the proper procedure for getting things on the agenda under our ordinances?
Well, usually what happens is, people request that to be put on. And then between the administrator, the clerk, and the village president, that's done. And those are the folks that really run that. And, other places, there's, been rules that if two of the board members want something on, then it gets on. I don't think there's anything in the statute that says this is the rule. It's sort of the local procedure that each board comes up with as to how they run their boards. You have the ability to make your own rules as to how you want to run this. And I'm not sure that's the best answer because it's not cut and dry, but it's certainly worthy of a discussion from the board as to how you want to handle that.
And perhaps having it in an ordinance or having it clarified in our, there's a lot of things that are very clear in our ordinances, but that isn't one of them.
Yeah, you certainly could put it in the ordinance.
Any other discussion or questions?
Thank you, Paul.
Great.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is new business from the board or staff, president's comments, and I would like to echo both Dan and Sandra about how great a job Melissa's done. This is her last meeting, and I would like to thank her for years of service with the village, and I absolutely wish her the best in whatever path that she chooses to follow now. You're definitely going to be missed. Your expertise and I know that with elections, as everybody that's worked with you in elections has been just absolutely in awe of how it gets done and as smooth as it goes. You've done a fantastic job, and again, I'd like to say thank you and the best of luck. So it's going to be a tough role to fill, and I'm sorry that we're at this, but that's we have to deal with what we have to deal with. My next item is for president's comments is And I think we could give Melissa a thank you and a round of applause possibly that she didn't want a gold watch. I suggested, getting her a trinket, but she said it's not in the budget, so, and she's very budget conscious, so that we will be missed. Also, President's comments, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and safe Independence Day. And I would hope that everyone will be respectful of your neighbors that may have children that may be sleeping at night. And also, I understand there's a lot of animals and dogs and stuff that don't really like fireworks. So please, we hope everybody has, a safe and has fun. And with the present conditions with the drought or the dry conditions we have, be very, very careful on where you're setting off your fireworks, because I know our fire department is usually fairly busy over this particular holiday, so please be careful out there. And I'm going to turn it over for Melissa's comments.
I didn't have much to say. I just want to say thank you to the residents. It's been awesome working here with you guys, and thank you to the staff. Great staff here, so I hope the board, appreciates and supports the remaining staff. That's all I have. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Okay, item 8, Plan Commission
No meeting.
did not meet. Personnel and Finance Committee recommendations. Let's see, we had claims and approvals.
Stan, can I move to recommend the board to approve the June 2023 non-recurring claims of $86,828.73?
Thank you, Kirk. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Discussion?
For the last time I get to ask this question. Melissa, anything out of the ordinary?
No, thank you though for asking. Just insurance renewals, workers' comp is a larger number, and then the generator is in there.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none. Mary?
Yes.
Dusty?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes.
Thank you. Okay, next is Public Works Committee recommendations, chair update.
Stan, we did not meet, but this was in process and completed by our foreman and administrator. We moved to approve the quote from St. Croix County to seal coat the various streets as specified in the village at a cost not to exceed $30,000.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Dusty. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. Tim?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 11, Public Safety Committee recommendations. Tim?
Stan, we did meet. As a chair of Public Safety, I want to thank Melissa for all her efforts in keeping our committee straight and narrow and working with the chief and making sure that we've completed all the work on the public safety side.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you. Item 12, Public Welfare Committee recommendations. Kurt?
We did not meet.
Did not meet. Okay, how about Park Board?
We did meet, and before we get into Park Board, I want to bring up the fact that, Melissa does a lot of amazing things with that, but I've been on this board for 8 years, and I've called her so many times, and she answers and has helped me personally walk through all the stuff, so I can't thank you enough for all of your service, your willingness to help me through as a young lad working through this, so I will stand and give you a round of applause because I do really appreciate everything you've done. And I would appreciate everyone joining me. Please. Thank you. Truly. Yeah. All those phone COVID, all me just calling and you helping me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Park Board. We had to postpone our last movie in the park, which was supposed to be this Wednesday. We're hoping to do one tomorrow. It looks like it's going to rain, but if we do have to move it again, we're going to try sometime in July. We're hoping to do Sandlot, but we'll keep everyone posted. And it's located on the Facebook. It's located on the website, which all of our stuff is, and it's the best place to find anything. So that's all we have. And once again, thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk. Anything else for there? Okay, item 14 is convene into closed session. The board may convene into closed session pursuant to statute 19.85, parent 1, parent lowercase c, for considering employment, promotions, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility with respect to public works director and administrator clerk position. Item B in closed session will be the board may convene into closed session pursuant to 19.85, parent 1, parent lowercase e, to deliberate or negotiate the purchase of public properties or the investing of public funds or conducting other specified public business whenever the competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session with respect to sewer and interceptor agreements, ad hoc committee updates. And C is the board may convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, parent 1, parent lowercase g, for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the Village of North Hudson who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved with respect to the remaining EMS funds held by the city of Hudson. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kirk. All in favor of going into closed session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We are now going into closed session.